I'm really, there's nothing to really tinker heavily with here. I mean, like I said, if you break it back down, just look at how it's set up and how it concluded. And what would you, even if you were tinkering, you would have still had it go the same way based on their batting order, who was coming in at certain times, who pitched against him. All those kind of things were appropriate.
No, I don't mean specifically to that.
No, I mean,
just in general.
But that, I mean, pretty much in general, that's what's happened. The way the lineups have set up, and except for the last game, I think Fernando had to go after the top of the lineup in the last game that we gave up over that in Toronto. Otherwise, it's set up properly, and regarding how you want it all to figure out, and it's frustrating. I understand that, but again, he's like one pitch away from nearly being perfect in a lot of these games, and most of it is not even about the hit; it's about the walk. That's the more important thing to do, is to eliminate the walk.
Joe, you've used the saying before about the definition of insanity.
Right.
And when do you get to that point here?
Again, you have to weigh your options. You know, what are the options? And again, play back the tape in tonight's game. Well, where would you have pitched Fernando if you did not pitch him when you did, based on the lineup? Just look at it, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I think if you look at it, you would have done, regardless if you were doing something other than what we're doing, you would have still chosen Evan pitch against those hitters, and Peralta to pitch against hitters that he did tonight. So it's just, again, 2 outs, nobody on. You got a walk, a check swing, and a blooper, and everybody's sad. I mean, it's just really unbelievable.
Have you talked to him at all? Will you talk to him just to kind of?
Always talk to him every day. I support him.
But I mean, just to kind of sit down and say, hey, you know, whatever.
There's really there's not a whole lot to discuss with that. I mean, he knows he needs to not walk guys. He's not is the way he's utilizing his stuff is really no different than last year. And again, in today's game, it really came down to the walk to overbid. That set the whole thing up. But there was some fortune shining on their side of a check swing double, and again, like I said, if you break it down, if you really look at it and understand what's going on, it's unfortunate it worked out this way, but that's the only way to work tonight.
I mean, it's easy to sit there and go, I mean, in your mind, it's nothing about overusage of the World Baseball Classic or the erratic, how you couldn't get him into some games, remember?
Right.
You talked about that earlier, you don't think? Or
not right now, no. I mean, I thought in the beginning the WBC, I was more concerned with the emotional component as opposed to the physical. Winning a world championship, being part of that, his country and how important it was there and how he contributed to do that. I mean, there was an emotional expense there that I thought was greater than the physical expense, and that was my bigger concern coming into the season. You go through this incredible high, and again, I don't think the people of the United States really understand to what level that was important to him and to his group to win that. We just don't. It doesn't carry the same weight here that it would in the Dominican. So. When that was concluded, I was more concerned how he was going to be emotionally, physically, and what was he thinking, and how did he feel about things, and that was it. But because spring training in that moment, he threw the ball great.
You've talked about, you're going to get some of these games back. I look
Sure.
at the Baltimore game against Jim Johnson. Of course, you're going to have them come back, but at the same time, you're big on the thing that games in April and May matter as much as the ones.
Of course.
How do you get these games back?
We definitely, just taking care of business, we would be in pretty darn good shape right now. So, I mean, and that also speaks to the fact we're still doing a lot of things well. Why have we lost these games? We've broken down a little bit in the last inning, but there's been a lot. I mean, Matt Joyce's pinch hit today as an example, and so as well as Kelly Johnson. Escobar continues to have good at-bats. Longo. There's so many good things that happen, and we have played well enough to be among the elite right now, but we've not concluded the game, and that's where we've fallen short. And so we just got to get that straightened out.
And how surprising is that being the element? It was the offense if it was the starting
No,
pitching without David?
Exactly. I mean, it's really almost incredible to think that is our problem right now, because that would be the one thing that I thought would have been our strong point at the beginning of the season.
And just in the bigger picture sense, I know you're trying to spin this positively, but just the residual impact of this, it's 48 games in, and you've lost now, four games or so, 5 games, just crushing, strike away, pitch away kind of games.
I know, but every time we seem to come back pretty well from them, so we just have to continue to do that until we get it right. I mean, that's the only way I look at it. It's not time to upset the spread. I mean, guys are playing hard, and again, we played well enough to win again tonight, and we're one pitch away from doing it. From a pitching perspective, we were one pitch away from doing it from an offensive perspective, and failed on both situations.
Joe, playing devil's advocate, I mean, there have been years when you have gone by the committee because you didn't have a clear closer.
Right.
How many blown saves before you come to the conclusion you don't have a closer now?
Well, my point is, even if it was by committee tonight, I would have done it the same way.
Tonight.
Yeah,
But-
and
but-
almost every game, if you break it down and look at the batting orders and the parts of the game that Joel's pitched and against whom, and the parts of the game that Fernando's pitching against whom, you would have done it the same way regardless if it was by committee or not. It just hasn't worked out. And again, if you look into it, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
But you don't think there'll come a point, perhaps, where you may have to go back to committee?
Like I'm saying, even if it was committee, I'd have still done it the same way. It'd be based on batting order, matchups, etc. Except for maybe one game, and that would have been the game in Toronto, the last game. Would be the one time you probably would have set it up differently.
Oh, I was wondering if
Part could have
Fernando
said
was
it.
struggling against and Jake McGee looked like Jake McGee looked last year.
Well, yeah, I mean,
creature.
of course, there's the
it's
option.
easy to do that.
Right, exactly, and the options.
And we know Jake isn't. So.
Jake has not locked it down. I mean, Joel's probably been the most consistent to this point, and Joel has pretty much had the most heavy lifting among the whole group regarding parts of the batting order that he's faced this year.
And it would
Successfully.
It wouldn't make sense to name him the closer and Fernando instead of Rolf.
Right, because of it, here comes this particular inning,
Fernando's
and
facing them even
right,
quarter
exactly,
of the game.
right. So Joel's done most of the heavy lifting this year, almost 90% of it, and it's just that the ninth inning has not worked out well.
I mean, as your point, like if the guy is struggling, he's going to be in there somewhere. So it's,
Exactly.
It's a blow up in your face in the eighth or blow up in your face in the ninth. I mean, it's like
Right. I mean, if it's by committee, you're still trying to set up the matchups. You would have still done it the same way,
yeah.
based on him pitching against whomever.
I guess the question would be to take it out tonight's game and just say tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, are you going to go into it thinking Rodney is the ninth inning guy?
Yes. Yes.
As
Yes.
opposed
Yeah.
to waiting to see how it unfolds and maybe Rodney in the
I'm
eighth
more
and
concerned
Joel
about
in
the
ninth.
seventh and eighth inning right now. I mean, and again with the lead, and again we've talked about how we're going to work that. It's like I said, even if it were by committee, almost 95% of what we've done to this point would have continued. We would have done anyway.
Right, I understand that. I'm just
Right.
saying, playing the hypothetical game going forward, are you still locked into the
If we're
same
if in a safe
setup?
situation tomorrow night and
Right.
everything flows, you'll see Fernando back out there again. I think he threw 20 pitches tonight, so he should be fine for tomorrow.